So I went on Clubhouse last night for the very first time, and my initial thoughts is this is absolutely incredible, revolutionary. I was really just considering instantly, like, could this be the death of talk radio? So I'm going to make a really quick flash reaction video to that. I mean, it's the Clubhouse. If you don't know, is like an app, the social media app where it's all about talking. There's rooms, they're set up, you join them, they're hosted by people, a bit like a radio host. You can put your hand up, talk in them. It's invite only at the moment, but I expect it to go mass market. And I mean, it's being compared to house party. It's going to be compared to sort of conference calls. It's being compared to podcasts, all these kind of things. But I do think actually the biggest threat it poses is to sort of talk radio, LBC, talk radio stations, Five Live, that kind of thing. Because it's sort of like already, what radio station is booking Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg? None of them. But these two people have been on Clubhouse, chatting away, interacting, doing broadcasts with normal people, and they're interacting with really interesting people, tech entrepreneurs, other journalists, in a quite spontaneous way that you don't get on the radio. So that is one of the downsides. It's a bit chaotic. You never really know what you're going to get. You sort of do with radio, right? You got your morning routine, your lunchtime routine, and people tune into it for a routine. But I'm sure as things progress and you get and the platform matures, you'll get sort of a more regular timetable to it. So yeah, my initial thought, really big threat to the talk radio scene. And the biggest thing about it actually is because I listen to talk radio a lot. I love talk radio. I love that interactive. I love that democracy done live kind of vibe about it. But one of the sort of archaic things about talk radio is you literally have to pick up the phone and call them. And then wait on hold. I mean, who does that? Do you know what I mean? I don't even phone my family members anymore. We talk on WhatsApp and sort of things like that. And they have needed a solution to that for a while. And an app solution would have been perfect, right? You just click a button, I'm waiting, I want to come in, and someone just lets you into the talk radio station. And so that the fact that talk radio stations didn't innovate and incorporate that system in means that they've now been overtaken by a social media platform, which is doing that anyway. I mean, talk radio stations could change in all sorts of ways. They could actually, because you know the producers will sit there the night before calling around MPs, think tank bosses, academics, lining up their schedule for the next day, and sometimes people drop out, sometimes it's not very good, and they can actually have a rota of like trusted contributors who just like log into the radio station that morning but wow, the deputy prime minister wants to be on, he's just put a notification in the app, get him on the radio station in a sort of way just like Clubhouse. So in that way it's sort of out innovated talk radio, and I think it's really good, and you're going to get better guests because it's simply so accessible, so easy to hop on it. I've never called up a radio station just as a punter. I have as an invited contributor, but there I was, my very first time on Clubhouse. I was there chatting away to some New York Times journalists and being part of a big room. Like, it was absolutely brilliant. And the other thing is actually, the thing about Clubhouse, where I think it might initially start to be better than talk radio, is because there's a democratization of like the presenters, because anyone can start a room, and some of the rooms are going to be great and some of them are going to be rubbish. And the thing is, some radio presenters, I'm sorry, are just not very good. They're sort of people that were newspaper editors or newspaper columnists, and they were given a radio sort of show out of the sort of sense of loyalty from their media boss. And they're just because you can write a column doesn't mean you can present a radio station. And some of them are just a bit substandard. And I think because there's a democratization of Clubhouse, the best people will get listened to the most, and their rooms will grow and survive, and you'll get better presenters. I think that's just how it's going to be. The other thing is, there's been a boom in YouTubing, right? Because here I am right now doing it during lockdown, because people are bored and they want to talk, they want to get out there. But this sort of a lot of the YouTubers, because it's pre-recorded, you get quite a lot of stupid. Sorry to insult some YouTubers, quite a lot of dumb YouTubers that do get loads of views because they don't have to interact, they don't have to think on their feet and have a conversation. They just sort of read out the day's news and go, that was good and that was bad, and they get millions of hits. But there would be better people if there was an interactive dynamic to YouTube, and that's where I think it's best to conceive of Clubhouse. Actually, it's not quite a radio station, it's more like an interactive podcast or an interactive YouTube video, right, where it's someone giving their own take on the world, and they don't really have any loyalties to anyone, but people can phone up and contribute, and it might not be as big as a radio station, but it's much more interactive, and it's fitting a niche there, because you're already getting a lot of YouTube channels. I've seen a few of my mates and distant mates that have football ones, where they talk about football. They only get about 40, 50 watches on each one, and they'll have different ones of their mates on, but it's more just between mates. It's them talking about football, and it's during lockdown, it's turned a way that they to stay in touch with each other. And it's almost like it doesn't really need to be a YouTube video. It doesn't need to be online forever. It could just be this ethereal kind of broadcast, which you open a room and you close a room and it disappears. That's what happens in Clubhouse. I really think there's a niche for it there, those smaller broadcasts. And I think they are going to do really, really well. And they just pop up, get a conversation going, disappear again. Somewhere between, and some podcasts are quite niche as well, right? They only get probably a few thousand listens. And it would be almost, and the podcast host always talks about interacting with their audience. And how much they value their audience. Well, if you started a Clubhouse room, you could interact with them in real time. If you had a really busy agenda and you wanted to talk about loads of things that week, you'd go for it. But if you wanted to contribute from the audience, your small but loyal audience, you open it up, put your hand up, invite you into the conversation, bang, we're going. So I think it's really tapped into a niche, a sort of a gap there in the market, and I do think it would do well. The downsides, however, are that some of the broadcasts, like the Elon Musk one that was then actually someone recorded it and live streamed it. But the problem is that room, the Clubhouse room, is limited to 5,000 people, right? It's limited. So really interesting broadcast that loads of people want to tap into, and it's kind of restricted. And I think that actually will kind of be the death of it as a mass broadcasting platform, that it's restricted to these 5,000 people rooms. They're going to have to figure that out. Are they going to have big mainstream big rooms that anyone can tap into, like a radio station, where they can keep that limit on it to keep it exclusive and keep it conversational and keep filling that niche that I was talking about earlier? So they are maybe going to have to decide, are they going after the mass radio audience? Are they going after just people who want to chat like me on YouTube? I mean, the irony is this would probably be better done on a Clubhouse discussion, right? What I'm doing now, this little conversation I'm having now. So I do think there's a lot of energy there. There's loads of excitement around it. Loads of people signing up to it, and there's some really interesting people contributing, like some of the aforementioned people. Do I think it will last and succeed? Sorry, I don't. The thing I think actually why it will sort of blow over is because these features, all of these features that I've talked about, the rooms, the way they open, close, the way you can just raise your hand and anyone can join, any other social media platform can kind of incorporate those elements. I mean, you could incorporate it into a Periscope broadcast on Twitter, and all your Twitter followers could just join you into a chat. YouTube could so easily do it with a YouTube video. You could live stream. Twitch already does it. It just saves the video lives and things like that. So I don't think it will last. I think they found a really interesting niche. It's exploding, and now you'll get like a much grayer area, I think, between podcasts, radio, and sort of broadcasts that go out to a mass market, and or just like group chats between friends, and there'll be sort of a continuum between all of them, and I think Clubhouse is on the forefront of that. So I don't think it is the death of radio. I think there will always be a market for structured programs, ordered programs throughout the day, and mixed in with quality news bulletins. But I do think talk radio will have to adapt and incorporate some of those elements too, if it's going to survive and keep succeeding in the way of Clubhouse. So yeah, just a really, I might be wrong about all of this. This is literally, I've been on it one night, so I don't know. But I thought I'd just do a little broadcast in the spirit of Clubhouse, about my initial thoughts on it. Yeah, please subscribe if you like my little chats. I do lots of things about media and politics, and I want to do more of them. Or find me on Clubhouse. Who knows? All right, thank you very much for watching this YouTube video. Bye bye.